loosen your collars, and let's get this shindig started. Ladies and germs, the Speakeasy 4.
What a way to kick things off. And ladies and germs, you're welcome to dance over here. We have a dance floor just for you. And feel free to film anything you want and share it with us after the show. Now, let me tell you about that number. Mac the Knife comes from Kurt Weill and Bertolt Brecht's 1928 Berlin sensation, The Three-Penny Opera. This ditty about a murderous gangster became the bee's knees across Europe. through America wouldn't catch wise until later. Straighten up and fly right for this exotic number. La Compasita was composed by Uruguayan musician Gerardo Matos Rodriguez way back in 1916 when he was just 17. Can you believe it? This tango became the hotsy-totsy of ballrooms worldwide by the 20s and was an absolute standard in every classy joint from Buenos Aires to Broadway. The title means Little Parade, and boy does it march straight into your heart. Roberto Firpo's orchestra made the first recording in 1916, and by the jazz age, no respectable dance hall or cabaret could get through an evening without playing it. The legendary Carlos Gardel, the voice of tango himself, recorded his own unforgettable version in 1927, cementing this tune's place in musical history. Now here's one that's the cat's pajamas. Avalon hit the scene in 1920, composed by Al Jolson and Vincent Rose, and it became an instant sensation. The title refers to Avalon on Catalina Island, that ritzy seaside resort off the California coast, where all the early Hollywood types would escape for romance and relaxation. Charlie Chaplin, Douglas Fairbanks, and all the big movie stars. This melody sparked quite the legal dust-up. Giacomo Puccini's publishers claimed that the main title borrowed heavily from the aria Elusive on le Stelle in his opera Tosca. The court case dragged through the courts, and in 1924, they won 25,000 clams and a whopping royalty deal. Big cabbage back then. Despite the controversy and the hefty settlement, Avalon became a monster hit and a jazz standard that musicians love to play. Now joining us is the fantastic Jesse Snyder on clarinets and vocals. let's take a breather with this beautiful old chestnut, Londonderry air, also known as Danny Boy, has ancient Irish roots stretching back centuries. But the 1920s saw a real boom in recordings and publications of this haunting melody. John McCormack, the Irish tenor, who was the biggest recording star of the era, made several immensely popular recordings of it that sold like hotcakes. Sheet music publishers in New York were cranking out different arrangements left and right. Everybody wanted a piece of this gorgeous tune to play in their parlor rooms. Fritz Kreisler, the famous violinist, made his own arrangement that became wildly popular. Whether cranking through phonograph record horns or playing in parlor pianos, this air captured hearts across America and made even tough stags feel all dewy-eyed about the old country and simpler times. call a game changer, a real paradigm shift. Satchmo's opening cadenza on this King Oliver composition knocked the music world for a loop. 15 seconds of pure genius that left every trumpet player in the dust and changed jazz forever. Tonight, our own ace, Farley Sangels, will take up the gauntlet and play Armstrong's original cadenza, attempting what many consider to be the Mount Everest of trumpet introductions. And folks, this is our last number before intermission. So after we give you this barn burner, we're going to take a little rest to lick our chops and wet our beaks. But don't go too far. We've got plenty more where that came from in the second half. And we'll also be crowning the best dressed doe and stag. So if you think we've got what it takes, remember to come up here at the beginning and we'll be the judge of that. Take it away, Farley. Here's a sweetheart that'll tug at your heartstrings. I Can't Give You Anything But Love was written by the dynamic duo of Jimmy McHugh and Dorothy Fields in 1928 for the all-black Broadway sensation Blackbirds of 1928. The story goes that McHugh and Fields were strolling down Fifth Avenue one evening when they saw a young couple window shopping at Tiffany's. They overheard the fellow say to his girl, "Gee, honey, I'd like to give you a sparkler like that, but right now, I can't give you nothing but love." The pair rushed to a nearby piano, and within an hour had written this timeless tune. Adelaide Hall introduced it at Les Ambassadors Club in New York City, and it became an instant smash, selling over 1 million copies of sheet music. It's been one of the most recorded songs of the jazz age, a perfect mix of romance and reality that speaks to anyone who's ever been broke but in love. Now, folks, we thought we'd have a little fun with this one. The boys are going to play some of this tune in a 1920s style and some in a 2020 style. And to sing it for us, please welcome to the stage the lovely Ursula Knudsen. Welcome, Ursula. Very happy to have you here. one more round of applause for the lovely Ursula. Bravo, darling. Now, get your handkerchiefs ready, folks. My Yiddish Mama was written by Jack Yellen and Lou Polak in 1925, and it became Sophie Tucker's signature tune that she performed with tears streaming down her face. This sentimental number about maternal love and devotion struck a deep chord with immigrants and their children navigating life in America, caught between the old world and the new. Tucker would sing one version, one chorus in English, and one in Yiddish, leaving Mary a dry eye in the house. This beautiful song is a particular favorite of our very own Eric Silberger, and tonight we're borrowing from the gorgeous arrangement by one of his great mentors, the incomparable Itzhak Perlman. Jesse Snyder also joins us on the clarinet for this one, adding that old world sound that makes this tune even more authentic. It's a reminder that the 20s weren't all raccoon coats, fivers, and wild parties. People still had hearts that could break and memories that could make them weep. gas. Fats Waller and Harry Brooks wrote Ain't Misbehaving in 1929 for the Broadway review Hot Chocolates with lyrics by the talented Andy Razzoff. Waller himself made it famous with his rollicking piano playing and that voice full of mischief, charm, and barely concealed naughtiness. The song supposedly was about staying true to your sweetie while they're away, sitting at home, saving all your love for that someone special. But Fat's delivery, with all those winks and chuckles, suggested he might have his fingers crossed behind his back. The tune became one of Waller's signature numbers, a staple of the late 20s jazz scene. Jesse Snyder's bringing his own brand of sass and swing on vocals and percussion on this one. Take it away, Jesse.
No one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf and misbehaving, saving my love for you, and you. I know for certain, the one I love, I'm through with flirting, it's just you I'm thinking of, and misbehaving, saving my love for you. Like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere, what do I care? Your kiss is all I'm waiting for, baby. I don't stay out late, don't get to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio, and misbehaving, saving my love for you.
Now for something absolutely wild and woolly. Minnie the Moocher was written by the legendary Cab Calloway with Irving Mills and recorded in 1931. Calloway had just landed the gig at Harlem's famous Cotton Club, filling in for Duke Ellington's orchestra, and this tune made him a superstar overnight. It became the first record by an African-American artist to sell over 1 million copies. The song tells the scandalous tale of Minnie and her no-good boyfriend Smokey, all wrapped up in Calloway's signature scat singing, that famous Heidi, Heidi, Heidi Ho call and response that became his trademark. Legend has it that Calloway forgot the lyrics during a performance and just started scatting. The crowd went absolutely bananas. This tune's got more energy than a jalopy full of flappers, and it's still one of the wildest rides in the American songbook. Ursula has returned to the stage on vocals, and Jessie switches to baritone sax for this one. Enjoy.
She was real live, who she could shine. She was the roughest, toughest rail, but really had a heart as big as a whale. Howdy, 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 howdy. Howdy, 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 bloke named Smokey. She loved him even though he was cocky. He took her down to Chinatown and he showed her how to kick the gong. Howdy, 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 howdy. Howdy, 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 giving her all those things she was needing. He built her a house made of golden steel, a diamond car with a platinum wheel. Hobby-dibby, 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 high. Hoda, 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 hoda. Skibidi, 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 doo.
shake your gams one last time, ladies and germs. James P. Johnson wrote The Charleston in 1923 for the Broadway show Runnin' Wild, and it sparked a dance craze that scandalized the Blue Noses coast to coast. This peppy number defines an entire decade. Flappers and sheiks couldn't get enough of its syncopated rhythms and wild knee-knocking steps. The dance came from African-American communities in Charleston, South Carolina, and when it hit the big time on Broadway, everybody from debutantes to working girls were kicking up their heels and twisting their knees. Parents were horrified. Preachers condemned it from their pulpits, but nothing could stop the craze. Within months, the Charleston was being danced from Paris to London to Berlin. Now, Jesse's back on clarinet for this rouser. Give it up one more time for our fantastic musicians, Farley. Eric. Jason. Joey. And our special guest, Jeffrey. And Ursula. And I'm Angel, and you've been absolutely divine. Once again, a huge mahalo to the Honoka'a People's Theatre, Phaeton, and Tom, and Camille, for presenting us here tonight. Thanks for coming, and stay cool, cats and kittens. This 1920 composition by Johnny Noble and Sonny Kunha brought the exotic sounds of Hawai'i music to the mainland during the island's big touristic boom. The 20s saw America go absolutely goofy for Hawaiian sounds. Steel guitars, ukuleles, and dreamy melodies that had mainlanders forget their troubles and imagine swaying palm trees and warm Pacific breezes. The fusion of blues and island sounds show how jazz age was really just a melting pot of musical styles from around the globe, mixing influences from every corner to create something new and exciting. Hawaiian music became so popular that music stores couldn't keep ukuleles in stock. What a way to end our shindig here with you tonight with a taste of tropical paradise. Mahalo and 23 Skiddos, folks.